Hello, I'm Ricky Sanchez.
I'm Kevin Jacobsen.
And you're watching Inside Rockland.
What is Inside Rockland?
It's a local show that will highlight the different aspects of the community.
From news and politics
to helping the county find missing children and help lock up Rockland's most wanted.
And getting your reactions and opinions with our Word on the Street segment.
I'm Ricky Sanchez, and today we will take a look at a State Senator Tom Morahan from the 38th District that represents all of Rockland County and the southern portion of Orange County. Plus, we will introduce you to some of his friendly staff. Mr. Morahan, thank you for being on my show.
It's my pleasure, Ricky, to be here.
And I would like for you to tell me a little bit about the plaques. You know, when we walked in, I saw the plaques, I saw these awards, I saw the pictures in the conference room. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, what we saw out there?
Yeah, it's not easy to talk about them because that means you have to puff yourself up. But I hang them up there for a lot of reasons, mainly for the organizations who were kind enough to honor me and give me those awards for various things that we do. Sometimes we help them with funding, sometimes we help them with organization, and sometimes we just, you know, work with them to help them meet their mission. So when they give us these plaques and awards, when they come to visit the office, I think they like to see their award up on the wall. So we do that, and I'm humbled by them. That's something we do, and that's, you know, kind of what you pay me to do those kind of good things. So,
well, I never see it as being puffed up. I actually, when you talk about it, I see it, you know what, it's up there, and it is a recognition of all the accomplishments that you have done in the previous year. And you've been in office for how long now?
3.5 years.
3.5 years, and you've been in office in your whole entire life for how long?
Oh, I guess since 1978.
So this 1978. So you've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
So you've been able to help a lot of people and have a lot of accomplishments. So I don't see it as a puffing up. I see it as a recognition and acknowledgement.
Oh, thank you, Ricky.
And I think that needs to be pointed out. Yeah. One of the things I want to talk about today, and we've talked about this in the past and previously, is about the graduate license that's currently in the Senate and in the Assembly.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we have two bills that are very much the same with one exception. The Assembly bill would implement the law statewide without any options for the local counties. The Senate bill agrees that the city and Long Island and Rockland and Westchester would fall into that, but the rest of the state, we believe it ought to be more optional. And frankly, the final bill in the Senate it'll be something that the local communities can opt into. Not every area in the state is the same. We're not a cookie cutter. What's good in the Bronx may not be good up in my Orange County dirt farmers where the kids have to drive around. There may be 8 miles between a house, and further up it even gets more rural when you get up to Sullivan and Dutchess counties. So I think our bill probably will be negotiated with the Assembly bill, and I think the one we're going to come out. Now, a lot of young people are concerned that they can't get their license or their permit at 16. This bill is simple. They will still be allowed to apply for their permit at age 16. But rather than being able to go down like some people the week after and take the test, they would have to wait 6 months. The theory here is that they would be able to get more experience, driving experience, before they're on the road. It also says they have to have 50 hours of supervised training by either an adult or a school or what have you, and it limits how many passengers can be in the car with them. As you and I know, when you drive a car, there's a lot of distractions. We talk about cell phones and listening to radios or boom boxes, whatever's in the car, that can distract you. And we're experienced drivers. Think what it's like for a 16-year-old with a carload of teenagers bouncing around in the car. I think that puts them in greater harm. So it's a safety bill, really.
And all excited that they just got the license.
That's
and they're ready to
correct.
drive.
Yeah.
Freedom. The freedom.
Yeah.
Thank God for America, right? That's where else, only but in America. How is the state budget process moving along?
The budget's moving along very well. Hopefully we'll have something in concrete by Monday. If that's the case, then we'll be able to do some more piece parts. What we're really struggling with now is how big the budget will be. Once we've agreed to that number, then I think we can work out the piece parts between the Assembly and the Senate, maybe in a week, tops 2 weeks. So I'm looking at the middle of May at the outset.
You know, one of the things that people have always talked about, and it's been going on year after year and after year, it's always been the holdup. I know if it came down with the village of Haverstraw, any villages or the town of Haverstraw, there is no holdup. What's the holdup? Why is it that the budget is always late every year?
Because we have a bicameral legislation as opposed to a village board, which is one legislative body, or the county legislature has one legislative body plus an executive. We have 2 legislative bodies with different philosophies about things and where the priorities ought to be for spending. Usually the battle is about education. Usually the battle is between the governor's proposal and the legislature's proposal to increase the spending mainly in the area of education. And then between the 2 houses, the Assembly generally wants to spend a little bit more than the Senate. So usually it comes out where the Senate is, just about right in the middle between the governor's proposal initially and ours. The reason they get away with late budgets is several years ago, they started adopting piecemeal stuff. In other words, they would have little extenders so government can continue. At the local level, if you don't do your budget, you don't have the option for extenders, and you would stop government right in its tracks. As a trustee, you know that. With the state, we can pass an extender bill which says we'll continue to spend, and we'll spend an appropriation bill for so long to keep the government running while we deliberate. It's usually about the priorities of where we want to spend the money for the people of the state of New York.
What are some of the, tell me about your legislative priorities right now that you have going on during this time in the state Senate and for Rockland County?
Well, I have several health bills. I think health is a big issue up here and around the state of New York. I have some that relate to the health industry, like for nurses, mandatory overtime, and those hard issues that make the work. But we have a tough time attracting people to the certain professions, nursing, teaching being 2 of them. And in nursing, some of the impediments are the working conditions. If we can help the working conditions for the people that are serving the sick, then I think we will make the job more attractive. And one of the things that, especially here in Rockland, was a big problem down in Nyack, was the mandatory overtime issue. So we're trying to address that. In fact, this morning I was over in Westchester. Because I'm sponsoring the bill, I met with the Northern Metropolitan Hospitals Association, about 40 different hospitals, and we're trying to work out something that we can get that bill where it will do what we need to do for the nurses and yet not restrict the hospitals from carrying out their mission of caring for the sick. I'm concerned about energy issues, the energy, now you feel the heat here in the last few days. We have a summer like this, after a winter like we had, I think we're going to be driving the electric bills out the window, and we're going to start getting a lot of letters into my office. And of course, we always consume with some of our local bills. The county, as you know, has asked us to transfer some money out of the MTA fund into their general account to help them meet a $2 million shortfall. So working with Alex and Sam and myself up in Albany, and their staffs, their legal staffs, we're trying to get that bill done. That would be a big help, an immediate help for the people in Rockland County.
You mentioned before the energy, and one of the things that came to my mind is Indian Point, and it's been a hot topic, especially since 9/11. Tell me about, how do you feel about Indian Point? Should it be closed down?
Yes.
Should it stay?
And it has nothing to do with 9/11. It should have been closed down, and we advocated that before, just because of the very age of the plant, all the problems we've had at the plant. It's built on a geological fault, crack in the surface, and also the development of the area over the last 20 years that it's there. I guess it's there much longer, but the explosion, if you will, of population. I don't think that if anything were to happen, that we have a real viable evacuation plan. Now, as far as the terrorism goes, while people, in fact, I heard a radio report today that some fellow flew a little airplane around there just to test security. Even if they shut that plant down tomorrow, it still would be a good target, if you will, or a target for terrorism, because we have all the spent fuel rods there. until we get permission to get them out of there, which is going to take several years, and out to Nevada someplace where they're trying to station them. The terrorism thing heightened our concerns about it, made us revisit it. But I think the plant has served its time. It's aged out. It ought to be converted into a new source of energy.
We're going to be successful in shutting it down and being converted into something else. How long would that process take? I mean,
nothing will happen until the federal people, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, rules it. We don't have the authority at the state level.
But certainly we could put pressure on them.
And there is pressure.
Right.
There is pressure. And you have to keep in mind, too, if we try to use the argument of terrorism, that means all of the plants in the United States, nuclear plants, are equally vulnerable.
Right.
And therefore, would we close them all?
Right.
And what would that do with the energy supply?
Right. But,
so there's a supply and demand issue that we have to be
Indian
careful of.
Point came to light even more so now because they're heightened alert because of the 911.
It heightened the awareness. And first of all, I was in there. I visited before 9/11. I was in the nuclear reactor. I stood right down on the rods. I was there with Alex and Sam. We were all suited up. And in fact, I got 6 months after I left there, they sent me a report of all my readings and from the exposure. But as far as security goes, at that time, I was surprised at the rigidity of the security, and I understand they've heightened that security and they've tightened it up. I do serve on the Senate Executive Committee for Municipal Preparedness. I met with Jim Kallstrom to talk about these issues and other issues, and we're talking to the Health Department about bioterrorism and chemical warfare, if you will. And now we're trying to work with all the police and fire agencies on communications. We don't have, most counties, and even here in Rockland, we can't talk to each other. If there's an emergency, different organizations, police, fire, they can't talk to each other. They're all in different bands. We've got to bring them all out together.
And I do want to congratulate you on the appointment on those executive committees, which I just recently found out. Yeah,
and also for the downtown transportation for the World Trade Center, I was put on that advisory committee for the city.
That's excellent. Yeah. As chairman of the State Senate Committee on the Veterans, and you're also on the Veterans and the Military Affairs, can you talk a little bit about what the state, New York State, is doing to help the war on terror? And also, just to touch on one of the veterans, Leo Ladder, I think it was, on West Haverstraw, burnt down. Can you, tell me how you feel about that and what can we do to help them?
Well, on Leo Ladders, I'm going to meet there Saturday morning with Alex Gromack and some members of the American Legion Society or Association. I am a member of the New City American Legion to see what it is we can do to rehabilitate that center, if you will. We understand that the structure is cement and brick, so it's pretty sturdy, but it looks like there's going to be massive renovations inside. And Alex and I are prepared to help them, try to get them grants for what has to be done. Also, we're working with some young people who are going to start a penny drive in the local school up there in Haverstraw. A little girl by the name of Rivera.
Yes.
And Jillian Rivera. And her father's the chief of staff for a Republican senator from the Bronx, Pedro Espada. So she's written us letters, and we're going to meet with her on Saturday morning at the same time and maybe launch something in the schools with the kids. I have a little way to say thanks to the veterans that made this country what it is. So we're going to see that back up and running.
You've been in office now as our state senator representative for three and a half years.
Yeah, May 99.
May 99. Which actually that was a special election.
That's right.
You ran.
That's right.
And you won. Since that time, two assemblies that also represent Rockland County, Sam Coleman and also Alex Gromack.
Yes.
How is the working relationship between yourself and the assembly from our local level here?
What we've done is we've established a partnership, if you will, recognizing, and with Nancy Calhoun, who has Stony Point, recognizing that we're working for the same constituents, and being partisan really is not helpful. I think we've all looked at the job as, we just want to do the right thing. So we meet, we started meeting once a month, which was new, talked about the different projects that we were asked to fund, and we compare notes on who's asking, who needs, whatever, and we decide on a county-wide basis which would be the best way to distribute whatever monies we can get for the county. We've worked on legislation together, and what we're blessed in that Alex and Sam being members of the majority in that House, in the Assembly, and I being in the majority in the Senate, we have a very good success rate if we team together, and if they pass a bill, I'll pass a bill, and we can get these things done. So I think it's an ongoing relationship. I'm going to miss Sam. I've worked with Sam when I was a legislator many years ago before he was an assemblyman, and I had been an assemblyman before him, so we go back a long way. But I think I'm going to miss him and Alex. I'm not going to miss Alex, I'm going to miss Sam. And we hope that whoever comes out as the victor for Sam's seat, be a Republican or Democrat, that we will maintain this kind of working relationship, which I think is really a real direct benefit to the people of Rockland. They're very unique. Most places, either the Democrats have the majority in the Assembly, and all the people down, their senators are Democrats as well, so they only have half the loaf. And if you go upstate, the senators are Republican, but the assemblymen are Republicans in the minority. So when you come into Rockland County and you have people in the majority of their houses on both sides, that's a very potent
it's
combination.
very helpful.
It sure is. Yeah, lots been done.
It's one thing is whatever party you're in, when it comes down to taking care of business, it really comes down to the constituents and the community that you live in.
That's who elects us, and that's who keeps us here.
Exactly, and like you said, having that two different legislative assembly and the Senate, and they're both majority coming from Rockland County, it is potent, and actually that's been very helpful for us, not just in the village, but throughout Rockland County, of everybody that's doing the revitalization and trying to revitalize their community. Can you talk a little bit about that, about the revitalizations? We have been doing two things. We've passed legislation that would form revitalization agencies, if you will, in the village of Haverstraw. We did one for the town of Haverstraw. I did one for Spring Valley, that village. We have been able to get funding for the revitalization for Suffern, I think $300,000, and we're doing some more on the other communities. You know, what we did in the community center that you chaired up in Haverstraw. There was, I think it was $50,000 for that center. Yes.
And I think total up in the Haverstraw area, we were able to get about almost $1 million in different road projects and things of that sort.
And I want to take this opportunity to really thank you. And it's funny how that came about, because you were, I think, at one of the Puerto Rican festivals in the village of Haverstraw, and I leaned over to you and I said, I need $50,000 to do an expansion at the community center. And you know what? When you talk about bringing home the bacon, Sir Morahan, I want to thank you. You certainly have brought more than the bacon, not just to the village of Haverstraw, but to Rockland County.
Wow.
And I want to thank you for being on my show, and I want to give you the last word. I want to give you have 30 minutes, 30 seconds.
30 seconds?
30
Okay.
seconds, even 60 seconds. Take whatever time you need to.
Well, Ricky, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be with you and to talk to your audience. I think there's an exciting new program you have coming up. I wish you a lot of luck with it. I thank all those folks who are going to watch. And I have a local office that we're in now, to my office, 425-1818, in case we can be of any service. That's another issue here, that we have great constituent service to help people out. They need a little red tape problems, and we try to get them through that process. So thanks for having me here, Ricky.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morahan.
Okay.
In addition to State Senator Tom Morahan's hard work, his staff also does a great job responding to constituents' concerns within his district. Here is an inside look at his office. And as soon as you walk into State Senator Morahan's office, one of the first person you're going to see is Eileen Hurley. Eileen, how you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Welcome.
Eileen, tell me, what exactly do you do here for our State Senator Tom Morahan?
Well, actually, I coordinate operations, so to speak, with our Albany office. I do all of his scheduling, answer his mail, order resolutions as is appropriate, and whatever else the senator needs.
So basically, you just assist him on whatever he needs.
Exactly.
And what is the latest stuff that you're working on for him now?
Well, right now we're putting together his weekend calendar, which is quite extensive, as you would imagine, and putting together 4 days in a row for him to take with him as he goes through the weekend.
Okay, and if any of the constituents needs to call here and needs to talk to you, what would be the number for them to call here?
The number here at the office is 425-1818.
And they can set anything up to meet with Senator Morahan for an appointment, and you would take care of all that for him?
That's correct. I would go through the calendar, see what was open, and the senator from now through June is only in the office actually for Thursdays and Fridays. After June, then obviously he's here the 5 days a week.
I'm here with Colleen Ferguson, and Colleen, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
How long you been working with the State Senator Morahan?
I've been here since September.
What's your job function here? What exactly do you do for him?
Basically, any constituents that call in or walk in, we basically see if we can work with them before we bring them into the senator, just to see lower his workload. Mm-hmm. And we also any events that he can't make, we usually represent him.
What kind of problems do some of the constituents call in and they look for? Like, can you give me an example?
Sure. We have a lot of people here, complaining about health care. They also just recently had a license increase where for liquor licenses they doubled, and we've been getting a lot of phone calls for that. For the women's health bill, we've had people write us we've received a ton of letters on that.
And I'm here talking with Jason Rashford, State Senator Morahan's office. Jason, what's your function here?
I'm a constituent services representative.
And what do you do for the constituents when they call?
It depends. We get a variety of calls on issues that run the gamut. So whatever they need, we follow it through for them.
How many constituents do you guys handle in a day? I mean, the phone rings a lot. Yeah. Is there letters that come in?
Yeah, I mean, we get, it varies with the phones and the letters, but at any given time we're working on maybe a dozen cases, and then whatever comes in on top of that.
You also handle the constituents from South Orange County, or is there another office out there?
Yeah, no, I actually live in that part of the Senator's District, the Orange County part. So in addition to the constituent relations in that area, I also rep the Senator, represent him at different functions and things like that if he's unable to attend due to being in Albany.
So that's great. So there's also somebody that lives from Orange County that works here to represent them. I think that's really important. You're the Chief of Staff here for State Senator Morahan. Tell me, what is your function here? What exactly do you do for him?
Well, I'm the supervisor of all of his employees. We have approximately 9 from this office and another 7 up in Albany, and I am the one that makes sure that everything stays functioning smoothly on behalf of the senator, of course, but on behalf of all constituents.
Let me ask you a question, Kathy. How long have you been here with State Senator Morahan?
Since he got elected in May of 1999, but of course, as many people know, I have worked for him previously as chairman of the legislature, and the two of us were county legislators together at one time. But I have known Tom and his family for 30 years.
30 years, long time. Kathy, thank you very much for your time.
Nice to see you, Rick.
Nice to see you, too. You're doing a great job. That's our show for today. I hope you have enjoyed it. We want to bring the best of Rockland County to the television screens. We are proud of Rockland County, and we expect this program will carry the feelings throughout the community. I would like to thank my guest, State Senator Tom Morahan and his staff. I also want to give a special thanks to Deputy Walt and Lieutenant Clausen from the Sheriff's Department. Thank you for watching.